Mohammad bin Musa, died 840 CE. Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi was born at Khwarizm, Khiva, south of RLC. Very little is known about his early life, except for the fact that his parents had migrated to a place south of Baghdad. The exact dates of his birth and death are also not known, but it is established that he flourished under Al-Mamun at Baghdad through 813–833 and probably died around 840 CE. To celebrate the 1200th birth anniversary of Mohammad bin Musa al-Khwarizmi, the former USSR issued this postal stamp pictured on top. The terms algebra and algorithm are familiar to all of us, but how many have heard of their founder Mohammad al-Khwarizmi? In geography, he revised and corrected Ptolemy's view and produced the first map of the known world in 830s. He worked on measuring the volume and circumference of the Earth, and contributed to work related to clocks, sundials and astrolabes. Muslim scholars and scientists ate his life. Abu Abdallah Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. The last mentioned name, his nisbah, refers to his birthplace, Khwarizm, modern Khiva, south of the Aral Sea. He was born around 780 in the town of Kath, part of Khwarizm. Kath is now buried in the sand. He died around 850. He was summoned to Baghdad by Caliph al-Mamun and appointed court astronomer. From the title of his work, Hisb al-Jabr wal-Muqabala, Book of Calculations, Restoration and Reduction, Algebra, Al-Jabr, derived its name. Algebra symbolizes the debt of Western culture to Muslim mathematics. Ironically, when it first entered the English language, it was used as a term for setting of broken bones, and even sometimes for the fractures themselves. This reflects the original literal meaning of the Arabic word al-jabr, the reuniting of broken bones, from the verb jabra, reunite. The anatomical connotations of this were adopted when the word was borrowed, as algebra, into Spanish, Italian and medieval Latin from one or other of which English acquired it. In Arabic, however, it had long been applied to the solving of algebraic equations. The full Arabic expression was ilm al-jabr wal-muqabala, the science of reunion and equations, and the mathematician al-Khwarizmi used algebra as the title of his treatise on algebra. In the 12th century, Gerard of Cremona and Roberts of Chester translated the algebra of al-Khwarizmi into Latin. Mathematicians used it all over the world until the 16th century. A Latin translation of a Muslim arithmetic text was discovered in 1857 at the University of Cambridge Library, entitled Algoritmi de Numero Indorum. The work opens with the words, "Spoken has algoritmi." Let us give deserved praise to God, our leader and defender. Muslim scholars and scientists 9. It is believed that this is a copy of al-Khwarizmi's arithmetic text, which was translated into Latin in the 12th century by Edlard of Bath, an English scholar. Al-Khwarizmi left his name to the history of mathematics in the form of algorithm, the old name for arithmetic. His work. Al-Khwarizmi was a mathematician, astronomer and geographer. He was perhaps one of the greatest mathematicians who ever lived, as, in fact, he was the founder of several branches and basic concepts of mathematics. In the words of Philip Hitti, he influenced mathematical thought to a greater extent than any other medieval writer. His work on algebra was outstanding, as he not only initiated the subject in a systematic form, but he also developed it to the extent of giving analytical solutions of linear and quadratic equations, which established him as the founder of algebra. Hisb al-Jabr wal-Muqabala contains analytical solutions of linear and quadratic equations, and its author may be called one of the founders of analysis or algebra as distinct from geometry. He also gives geometrical solutions, with figures, of quadratic equations, for example x2 plus 1 ox equals 39, an equation often repeated by later writers. The A Liber Sagaga Urim al-Karimi in Artem Astronomicam a Magistro A. Edlard of Bath, Compositus, deals with arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. It is possibly a summary of al-Khwarizmi's teachings rather than an original work. His astronomical and trigonometric tables, revised by Maslama al-Mjriti, second half of 10th century, were translated into Latin as early as L126 by Edward of Bath. They were the first Muslim tables and contained not simply the sign function Muslim scholars and scientists tend but also the tangent, Maslama's interpolation. His arithmetic synthesized Greek and Hindu knowledge and also contained his own contribution of fundamental importance to mathematics and science. Thus, he explained the use of zero, a numeral of fundamental importance developed by the Arabs. Similarly, he developed the decimal system so that the overall system of numerals, algorithm or algorithm, is named after him. In addition to introducing the Indian system of numerals, now generally known as Arabic numerals, he developed at length several arithmetical procedures, including operations on fractions. It was through his work that the system of numerals was first introduced to Arabs and later to Europe. Through its translations in European languages, he developed in detail trigonometric tables containing the sign functions, which were probably extrapolated to tangent functions by Maslamati. He also perfected the geometric representation of conic sections and developed the calculus of two errors, which practically led him to the concept of differentiation. He is also reported to have collaborated in the degree measurements ordered by Al-Mamun, which were aimed at measuring a volume and circumference of the Earth. Several of his books were translated into Latin in the early 12th century. In fact, his book on arithmetic, Kitab al-Jama wal Tafriq bil Hisab al-Hindi, was lost in Arabic but survived in a Latin translation. His astronomical tables were also translated into European languages and, later, into Chinese. His geography captioned Kitab Sirat al-Ard, the face of the Earth, together with its maps, was also translated. In addition, he wrote a book on the Jewish calendar Istikraj Tarik al-Yahud, and two books Muslim scholars and scientists 11 on the astrolabe. He also wrote Kitab al-Tarikh, and his book on sundials was captioned Kitab al-Rukmat, but both of them have been lost. A servant of God al-Khwarizmi emphasized that he wrote his algebra book to serve the practical needs of the people concerning matters of inheritance, legacies, partition, lawsuits and commerce. He considered his work as worship to God. Quotation from Al-Khwarizmi. That fondness for science, that affability and condescension which God shows to the learned, that promptitude with which he protects and supports them in the elucidation of obscurities and in the removal of difficulties, has encouraged me to compose a short work on calculating by algebra and al-Mukabala, confining it to what is easiest and most useful in arithmetic. Algebra means restoring, referring to the process of moving a subtracted quantity to the other side of an equation. Al-Mukabala is comparing and refers to subtracting equal quantities from both sides of an equation.